Ari Fleischer, who reveals it all in his brand new book, Suppression, Deception, Snobbery, and Bias, and why the press gets so much wrong and just doesn't care. Ari, I didn't come up with that idea to bump into your segment. You wrote about it in your book. Why is that emblematic of the reason you wrote it?
Brian, I began my book with that segment because it captures everything wrong with the media. They look down on this country. How can anybody in good conscience do that? And then what the clip continued was the host, Don Lemon of CNN, laughing uproariously, pulling himself back up and saying, catching his breath, "Thanks, I needed that." What newsroom thinks it makes journalistic sense to mock, to have disdain for half the country? And that's exactly what it was, and that's the problem with journalism. It's a window into how so many of them think about anybody who might intellectually, happily, proudly have supported President Trump.
If they don't think like me, they're idiots and they're
That's
morons. Right. And the king of them all is the President of the United States, whether it's Trump or whether it's the man you work for, George W. Bush. And a lot of it's because they're Democrats. Most of the media, in the studies that you have found, are Democrats. And not only do they not Republicans, they seem to hate them.
The media overwhelmingly consists of same-minded people, college-educated Democrats who know how to write stories for only fellow college-educated Democrats. You know, I tell a couple stories in the book, Brian. Twice I've gone to Columbia Journalism School, and I've asked the students, who'd you vote for in the previous election? 24-0 for the Democrat, not one Republican vote. I had an opposition research company pull the public records of the White House press corps, how they registered to vote, and they found by a 12-1 ratio, the White House briefing room consists of Democrats. Why isn't it 1-1? Why isn't it even? Or could you imagine, Brian, if it was 12-1 Republican to Democrat, how different the news the American people get would be? But I blow the whistle on this book, on the media in this book, because there are too many Democrats, too many liberals, think alike, act alike, and they deride Republicans. And this is why the mainstream media is in decline and denial.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how few people are watching. Our ratings have gone up 12%, but if you look at the other networks, they've lost almost half their audience. People are showing their revenge by not watching. So Joe Biden gets elected President of the United States. Obviously, every newsroom, 97%, are elated. They're happy. So elated, NBC takes a shot of fireworks. You point this out in your book. Let's bring it to life.
Or take London. Fireworks were set off, celebrating the historic win. Let's take this in.
In reality, Ari Fleischer, what were they celebrating?
As my book points out, they were celebrating a 500-year-old British holiday called Guy Fawkes Day, Bonfire Night, commemorating the 1605 failed assassination attempt on King James I. It had nothing to do with the American election. But when you work in a newsroom where you're surrounded by everybody who thinks there's something wrong with Trump, you think the whole world thinks there's something wrong with Trump. So, of course, fireworks were to celebrate Trump's defeat. And that's why I call the book Deception. This was deceptive reporting. It made it on the air, not only on MSNBC, but on CNN and ABC too. This is why the American people have lost trust in the American media.
No question. You talk about Nikki Haley getting told that she spent $55,000 on $52,000 on curtains for the ambassador's suite when everyone's cutting back. And it turns out it was ordered before she got the job. They never really did a retraction. So it's all a lack of retractions when they're caught, from Brian Ross on down. And lastly, just real quick, Ari, what role does that play in the divided America we see right now?
Well, a case that I make in my book is that one of the problems in America is the press itself. The mainstream media is one of the greatest sources of our polarization because they polarize us. They divide us. They don't report the news fairly and equally. And so they are one of the biggest problems we have in this country. And I lament it, Brian, because I want the media to be fair. I want them to be neutral. I want to pick up one source and know it's true. With the mainstream media, we can no longer do that.
The new book outlines all this and more: Suppression, Deception, Snobbery, and Bias. Ari, congratulations. It's an important read.
Thank you, Brian.
You got it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.